right? So
Yeah.
I'm very happy that you're open to share your experience. So you mentioned that you were you are a total, how to say, like a startle, like what you do with helping men with
Speech. Yeah, with
speech
stuttering.
anxiety,
Yeah. Speech
stuttering.
anxiety. Yeah.
You mentioned that you were working with men to overcome their speech anxiety and public speaking and all of that, which I think is beautiful. The first thing I asked, like the first thought that come to my mind was like, why men? But
Yeah.
that could be
Yeah,
something that you would like to
this
elaborate.
problem is very common in men.
Okay, just that. All right, so that thing, and then you mentioned that you things happen in your life that made you switch directions and focus, and
Mhm.
you wanted to focus more now in relationship and self-love, and working more with women, which
Yep.
I can relate completely, because this is exactly the sector I feel more called to help as to now, women and couples. But I would love to hear, Olga, what made you do, what was going on in your life that made you make that switch?
Well, I was married for 15 years, and recently I learned that I'm married for the wrong reasons.
Hmm.
I got married when I was quite young, and I didn't know anything about myself. I didn't know what I wanted, what I didn't want,
Hmm.
and everything seemed fine until a particular point in my life. But then gradually, as things unfolded, and we also had a child, I took a position of a mother for my man.
Hmm.
And also, I was competing with him.
Hmm.
And
Interesting.
emotionally, I have become quite dominant as well, which took away lots of my energy, a lot of my health,
Hmm.
and it was just not working because once you become a mother to your man, then all sexual relationships stop because you cannot sleep with your son.
Natural. Otherwise, it's incest.
That's it. So it just doesn't work
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
way. And also because I didn't get enough love from my father, who was quite sexist, and he was telling terrible things when I was like 13, 14 years old. I heard some horrible stuff, from him. I made an unconscious decision, that, okay, so being a woman is inferior. Now I have
Hmm.
to compete. I have to prove him wrong, that I can be just as strong as men. And that was
Yeah.
my mental setting for many, many years. And I didn't even know that. I was not aware of it. I thought that's the way to live. I have to compete in order to, well, in
Prove
order
your worth.
in order to feel worthy, in order to be validated, in order to be loved. But
Hmm.
yeah, like over the last 3 years, many things happened in my life. I have been through very deep personal exploration. And I just
Hmm.
made a decision that I can no longer continue in this way because I'm just not strong enough. I'm not a man, I'm not a guy. So all I want now is to reconnect with myself as a woman, be able to believe in my man, to support him, and just be there for him as a woman, not as a competitor in any way. I just want
That's
to
so beautiful.
relax into being a woman, and that's it. That's my role. I'm not
Yeah.
taking on any masculine role anymore because I just don't have the strength to do it anymore. There's no way I can continue like this. And I'm very happy that I've realized it. Yeah. I,
Well, I have to commend you for that, because it takes courage to take that step, take courage, and it takes a lot of self-awareness to look in the mirror and see, oh my God,
Mm.
I have been, uh, it's like when you can look at yourself, I have been a bitch.
Yeah, I haven't been.
You know what I mean?
I was
That
very
you say that to
dominant.
yourself, but it's like when we are like in that position of, pointing fingers
I
and and,
pointed
and
fingers at myself.
control, control freak, and all those behaviors that are, at the end of the day, all those behaviors are coping mechanisms
Oh, yes.
that we learn, becomes pattern over the years, the patterns that are protecting us from something, because that unconscious decisions that you made back then, when you decided that you had to prove your dad wrong for all the ugly things that he said, that was a little Olga that
Yeah.
that was hurt, that
Yeah,
was
she
hurt,
was she
that
was
was
very hurt and
wounded.
she was angry. Yeah.
Yeah, she was angry, and she probably couldn't express that anger,
No.
because that will bring the beast of the dad, probably, right? It was
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
okay. Like a dad that is sexist, as you mentioned, I bet that was not okay to be an angry child. The angry
No,
Olga was not allowed to come out,
emotions were
right?
suppressed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
emotions.
when emotions are suppressed, what happened? What do you think those emotions go?
They begin to affect your body. You begin to tense up,
Yeah,
rigid.
yeah,
I was very
yeah.
rigid. Yeah, for many
Yeah,
years.
you become rigid, you become tense, you become hyper vigilant,
Oh
because
yeah.
if I cannot express my emotions, it's not that the emotions will go away, they will get stored in the body in a form of trauma.
Yeah.
And it's like when you store a food and in an environment that is not cool enough, it rottens, right? It's not
Yep.
supposed to be there. So it's like it becomes a rotten mix of stuff that, unless you get it out,
Mhm.
it can become a disease. It can become a physical disease. At a later step, it wouldn't do something about that. So I'm very happy for you that, because before it's too late, you manage to realize, okay, this is Olga, that this is the Olga that have been dominant, that has been controlling, that have been a mother, that has been, because when you come from that space of self-awareness and the courage to look at yourself deep down in your inner world, that is super empowering.
I know. I
In
feel
that
quite light.
moment, right, is you feel lighter, you feel like, oh my gosh, like, they cannot get you,
Mm.
because what does you want to tell me? Like, there is nothing you can tell me that I don't know myself. It's like, they can't hurt you, because
No.
you have been hurting yourself enough
Yeah.
by now.
Yeah. What I would like to also say is that when a woman takes on masculine roles, she becomes weak. That's not the
Hmm.
strength, it's the
No,
weakness. But when she steps into her feminine powers, this is when she's really strong. So everything is exactly opposite.
absolutely, I totally agree
Everything is
with that
exactly
one.
opposite. Now I
Also,
feel that I live it, and wow, it's such a, it gives me so much inspiration, and energy is back. Energy is
mm,
back. I'm really
mm,
energetic now every single day. Before I was, like carrying lots of heavy weight on me, like every single day. Now I'm like floating every day. So it's
yeah,
much easier. You feel light, you feel empowered, and just
yeah,
happy, just happy.
because you are in your element, and you're embracing your strength, but you're also embracing your softness.
Hmm.
And that softness, that slowness, that allowance, that willingness to receive, it calls for the energy, it calls for the erotic as well. It calls for the softness that has the courage to say, I just want to put my head in your shoulder
That's
and
it.
rest it there. I just want you to hug me. I just want to hug, and I just want to be here with you and feel that that is okay. That is erotic. That is sexy. Men like that because in their masculine, they need to feel that they can provide that space for you,
Hmm. Yeah.
and
And
when you are in the space of you should do this
yeah,
way, and having to control everything, that is a shutdown for the masculine,
absolutely. Yeah.
right? And it's like if they go, okay, so first of all, this woman does not need me. I have nothing to do
It's too
there.
strong.
Like it's like, and it's almost like they get uh how to say, intimidated,
Oh,
not in a
yes.
good way, not in a good way, because uh, it's okay to feel afraid, and not intimidated in a way that you will harm them or you will beat them, or they become weak, not in that way, although you probably could.
I've never beaten my men. So.
In that way, I just wanted to clarify that it's like, okay, like it happens more at the energetic
Yeah.
level. That
Sure,
is
yeah.
something,
I
it
get that.
becomes,
Yeah.
right, it becomes like
Wall.
a wall, and it's like you're leaking constantly that elixir that is saying, don't approach to me. I met a lot of women out there that are beautiful women, a successful, empowered in different ways, and self-reliant, self-sufficient, and I'm so happy in my singlehood. I don't need men because I'm whole and full and all that, da 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 da. And while all of that is truth, I could see how that can act also as an armor, as
Yeah.
as an
Never.
armor.
Like a
That woman
shield.
inside, yeah, yeah, chances are that they are also hurting inside, that
Mm.
there is a little whoever the name, little Laura, just put in a name inside, that is suffering, that wants, for God's sake, to have the opportunity to soften up, to crack open that armor and say, hey, just hold me
Yeah,
for a
just
bit.
hold me. That's it.
Just hold me, because God damn it, like, feeling held is so good. It feels so good when you can just soften and drop and say like, wow, yeah, yeah, just hold me. Don't do anything, just hold me. You know, I can relate totally to that because I was exactly like that. I grew up thinking that I could not trust men. That was my belief system. And of course, that came from facts, if we want to call it,
Mhm.
from facts that my dad was not really present in growing up. He left, or they broke up, my mom and him, when I was 2 years old, and he was not really present or how to say, supportive in any
Mm.
way. I don't really know how it is to have a father love. So I definitely carry on with that father wound,
Yeah.
right? And I knew when I was 18, my mom told me that when he left, he told her, well, okay, we split now. Now you find a man to take care of you and your daughter. It's like,
Yeah.
I have nothing else to do with you guys. You are on your own. And that moment, I made that unconscious decision that you mentioned. Although for me, actually, was not that unconscious. I said it out loud, that no man would ever have the opportunity to say something like that to me.
Hmm.
Because I was not going to provide that chance ever. What did I do after that? I went completely all in to figure out how I could be independent, self-reliant, like it's only me and I will have my family by myself, with a man or without. and I'll be the superwoman.
Oh
And
yeah,
I
Superwoman. Yeah.
Yeah, the superwoman. I don't need men. Fuck you, men, because you will always let me down no matter what, you know.
Mm.
And I took life from that perspective. And what do you think? What do you think I encounter throughout the years?
Lots of betrayal, difficulties, not being able to ask for help when you needed it.
Unavailability, men that were emotionally unavailable, because of course
Yeah.
from that space I cannot be
No.
emotionally available, because the moment I become emotionally available, I will be like emotionally, I will be a prey for the
Oh
predator,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
From that victim
Yep.
role. I will be a prey for the predator. I will be weak. I will be dependent. And if I am dependent, they own me and they can do anything they
Hmm.
want. They can mistreat me. They will leave me. You know, I had to be strong. And the only way to be strong was not to be emotionally available. So
Yeah.
what did I find over the times? A lot of unavailability, people who were not ready to commit, just to prove me right, because that's to how the self prophecy works, right? Just to prove me right that men can't be trusted. So people who were not ready to commit, were not daring to me, or people who would cheat, mistreat me, have a violent, how to say, emotion, like a physical and verbally abusive,
Hmm.
gaslighting, like all kind of toxic dynamics.
Interesting. Yeah. I
And
didn't have that. I didn't have that experience. Because all my relationships were serious. I
yeah,
never had any one night stand, so
yeah.
not into that sort of thing. But my only husband, to whom I was married for nearly 15 years, um, he was emotionally weaker than me.
Hmm.
So over the
Well,
years,
what do you mean by that? By
well,
emotionally weak?
I had to become the guy in the family.
Hmm.
I had to make
Hmm.
decisions, take responsibility. And I couldn't trust him to manage well because I was too controlling. I thought it was all on me. It was all my responsibility to manage everything, to think about everything, to take care about
Hmm.
everybody. I
Hmm.
couldn't trust him, that he can also manage and he can take
Hmm.
charge. So
Hmm.
I was the leader in the family. But now I
Hmm.
understand, the roles were completely screwed.
Yeah, they were inverted. And did you ever give him the chance? Did you ever give him the chance the chance to take the lead?
No, I
Hmm.
only realized this when we got divorced.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
I'm like, take charge, because we're
Yeah.
still friends. We don't fight. It was just two people sitting down and deciding,
Yeah.
hey, listen, it just doesn't work
Yeah.
anymore. Let's go our separate ways. There was no fighting, there was no abuse, there was no gaslighting, there were no games. It was just two adult people, deciding, okay, enough.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Let's just
Yeah.
go our ways. So
Yeah. Well, it's good that you guys made that decision, because now from a more mature and conscious space, now you can both work on whatever was not working back then, and
yeah,
reclaim
that's
the
the idea.
freedom of being yourself, but a better version.
New principles. Um, um, Relationship that would be based on harmony, not on competition with men.
Yeah.
I no
Yeah.
longer compete. I surrender. I want to be dominated.
Lovely, lovely. And when you say, I know that I understand where you're coming from the domination point of view. And when I see that, me, because I'm very kinky in my mind, I go straight away to how would be. sexually dominated, how it would be to be
Mhm.
sexually dominated, because this is where we, you know, where this
Mm.
BDSM world could
Yeah.
fit very well. The dominance, like the we women, or could be also men. It's not like, it's not a gender based. Men and women, we both, when we are in that space, there are many things that we could try in being dominated, and or
Mhm.
dominate, and the switching part. There are a lot of things, but this I
Mhm.
just to tell you that was what came into my mind. But switching
Yeah.
back to what is the relationship dynamics, I actually, you know, when I realized that I was, when I became aware that I was a control freak, that I was controlling, and that I was also dominating. I first of all, I could see why, and I could understand why some men would tell me that I was beautiful, and they felt not impressed, or
In
also impressed could say, but
intimidated.
intimidated, like
Yeah.
somebody that they could not reach. And in my mind, I was being super open, super sassy,
Yeah.
super, hey, come to me. Not at all. I
Yeah.
was leaking. I was leaking
Yeah.
that energy of, you know, come and don't dare. Don't you dare.
Don't you approach.
Don't you dare. Because I'm gonna punch you. I'm gonna,
Yeah.
you know, put on my tiger suit, and I'm gonna fight you, you know, because you are not going to mess up with me. That was the
Yeah.
energy that I was, you know, and this self-sufficient, self-reliant, self-thinking, that it comes more from an from an
Mhm.
avoidant style point of view, which is a complete, you know, big bucket that we could go into, and why I have some avoidant traits. That comes, of course,
Mhm.
from my childhood, and from being emotionally neglected in many times, and for having to be there by myself, or myself in many occasions. So I took on the role of, okay, no worries. I cannot express my emotions. We cannot talk about it because it's not a language that we speak at home. So I have to swallow them. I have to be self-sufficient, self-reliant, and I can only trust myself in this world.
Yeah,
So that's
that's
how I,
that's how I was as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's
And
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting how
and it's
our
interesting.
stories.
Our
Uh,
stories are very similar and very different at the same time, because we took different paths, probably out of the same wound.
yeah.
And your dad was there for you until maybe a later stage. Mine wasn't, but the
No.
result is very similar,
My
right?
father, no, he was very emotionally cold and distant. Even
Mm,
now, he doesn't know how to support me. But I no longer need his support because I know how to give love to myself. So I don't reach out for his support at all. I don't need it anymore. But he definitely influenced me when I was a teenager in a very negative way. He made me believe that in order to be accepted and loved, I had to compete with men. I had to fight.
yeah,
And this was a totally wrong mental setting, which only like last 3 years, I managed to get rid of it.
yeah.
And I feel like a completely different person now. I I
That's
I
so beautiful.
I feel what you said at the beginning, very soft and soft, feminine, yeah, and kind of inviting. Before I
Yeah,
was no wall, get away
yeah,
from me, don't approach. Now I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, I want the embrace,
Yeah, the embrace, the receive. You want to
the
receive.
receive.
You want
Before
to
no.
be, yeah, to be held, to be. Yeah, it's like being a flower. That's why we
Yeah.
women are related, are very associated with flower, because flowers are beautiful, and they are also soft, and they might be fragile, but they might be also very resilient. So I
Yeah.
would, instead of, I know that we don't get taught any of this in school whatsoever, but it would make such a difference is if we were taught to be calm, to be resilient instead of controlling,
Oh yeah.
instead of that is strength that we are taught to
Mhm.
embrace is a strength that is not helpful, because it's like a building a structure that is rigid, and because of it's so
Yeah.
rigid, it can break
Yeah.
like this. It's not
Yeah,
flexible, it's not
it's
able to
good.
find a flexible strength to be able to bend and come back, bend and come back. So that's why from that rigidity we pick up when we get activated and triggered, and we don't know how to self-regulate and manage our big emotions, or we go down all the way to the
Mhm.
shutdown, freeze, dissociated stage, in which we don't feel, we don't empathize, we don't respond, like we completely we get out of the human experience
Yeah, yeah.
in that capacity. So I want to hear I want to hear a little bit more about what did you do. And let me just quickly put my phone to charge, because I think it's getting out of charge. But I would love to hear, what did you do when you realized that you had to take another path to start embracing self-love
What did I do?
and your
Yeah.
feminine more.
I guess I reached the point in life where I tried so many things. Especially like there was this idea that if you want to get results, you have to work hard. You have to
Hmm.
push yourself 24 hours, non-stop, no rest, no sleep, no eat, nothing. You have to become you have to fight with life. There was the idea that was instilled to me when I
Hmm.
was 13 or 14.
Hmm.
I was a fighter, but this fighter turned against me in the end.
Yeah.
I started to fight myself and my happiness, and everything just began to fall apart. And I saw that I was getting nowhere. I was working really hard, but the results were very small. And at the same time, I saw other women that were working maybe 4 hours a week. They got everything. I mean, they were also very soft. Uh, they knew how to have fun in life. They knew how to enjoy themselves. They slept very well at night, which I didn't have. And I started questioning, what's going
Hmm.
on? Why am I like
Hmm.
that? Why am I so miserable and unhappy and so rigid? And this was like the beginning where I started to let go of my masculine parts. I also had some psychedelic experiences.
Hmm. Which
Um,
one?
I went to Peru,
Ayahuasca.
ayahuasca, San Pedro. I did some other stuff there as well. So I did lots of
Hmm.
self-searching, and it got kind of very serious. All the messages that I received were very serious.
Can you share with me a little bit of that, of your
Um,
experience? Like what did you see there? What awakened within you
oh my God, it's
from
it's
that
a, it's a long
experience?
story. What awakened is, well, very briefly, there was lots of shit in my head. There was lots
Hmm.
of nonsense in my head. And this was the reason why my life didn't work the way I expected it to work, because I worked very hard. I was a good girl. I did everything right. I mean, I never done any bad things, like I never took any drugs. I never smoked. I never drank alcohol. I never had one night stands. I mean, I was a proper girl. I mean, I did everything right. I was on my best behavior always. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and it just didn't work. And I became very angry and very desperate. So I started my psychedelic therapy. It was back in 2021. and it now continues, but on a more serious level. This is my second interest, and it's becoming more and more serious now. So yeah, I just kind of reached the point of no return. I said, enough is enough. All this bullshit is just not working for me. Out of my life. And
Great.
yeah, I started meeting men as well. And I
You were
started
starting dating?
noticing. Huh?
Dating? Purposefully dating or
Kind of
just
dating. Yeah, I
randomly?
started just
Okay.
kind of maybe noticing that men look at me. They do
They
notice
notice
me.
you. They notice you because you started to radiate a different
Yes,
energy.
people are looking at me, but I'm like so embarrassed, kind of, oh my God,
What
they're looking
happened?
at
What is
me.
like you're gonna see me? You're gonna see me now.
What do I do now? Like, how do I respond?
Yeah.
I didn't know how to respond in these situations. So, and I made an intention for myself that I don't want, the old story to repeat, never more. So I started studying basically, some concepts, some basic stuff about how to become a woman, and how to develop myself in this role, how to not cross to the masculine role anymore, because I said to myself, I have no strength to be a guy anymore. All I want now is to soften up, relax, enjoy, and just become a woman. I just want to soften up. I don't want to fight, compete, or prove anything to anybody.
Yeah.
Everything now is about becoming a woman, stepping into that power, and staying there and developing and growing in that part of me. That's it. That's basically everything is simple. Before
That
there was
was a
lots of,
decision you made
yeah, that was the decision. And when I made this decision consciously, well, first of all, I got divorced. I
first
said enough is
first
enough.
time.
The old story must, close the door on the old story, and then the new door will open. And yeah, I started kind of developing my feminine side, and it came naturally to me. It came naturally. I realized through my psychedelic experiences as well that I am basically swimming in love. Everything is coming to me easily, but because there was a wall, I could receive it, because there was a
Mm.
huge wall like around me.
Yeah. Now
And
you're open to receive.
now I'm open to receive, and things coming easily. There is no need to fight, there is no need to strain, there is no need to force, there is no need to work 24 hours. I
Mm.
do very little, and I gain so much more. And it's like magic, your brain goes like, how is this? It's too easy.
Yeah.
But that's how it
Yeah.
is. When you stop fighting, the doors just open up and things begin to flow in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I do believe. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, you
I
said.
have been trained, I have been, brainwashed to believe that I had to fight, but
Yeah.
fighting was no. I have no strength.
Yeah.
I am not a fighter. All my weapons are now gone.
Yeah. And it's good to know. It's not to know how to fight, when to fight, and what to fight for, because the fighting mode, which I can completely relate, is happens. We go there. This is the place we go when we feel threatened,
Mm.
right? When we feel threatened, especially when we feel victimized, when we are in a position in which we feel inferior. So we have to fight, because if we don't fight, we are going to be taken over. We are going to be mistreated. We are going to be
Oh yeah,
violated, and that position from when we see, when we see ourselves as a victim, and what we see the world as a threat, is is a weak position to be in.
extremely weak. Yeah,
It's a weak is the opposite of being
everything is
strong.
yeah, everything is
But we are grown to believe that fighting fighting is a
Strength,
sign of strength,
power. No.
power, and that's what the anger come, and that's what people that have a lot of anger, the anger comes as a defense mechanism
Mm.
for that fear, for that weakness that we feel within, that powerlessness, that helplessness. And
Yep.
the only weapon we have is our emotions, is our armors, our walls. These are our weapons, and
Yeah.
we control, we criticize, we blame, we shame, and that's what we bring in our relationships. And when we come as a woman with this army, but
Mhm.
I think that man over there is gonna think or feel or see us like they're gonna run away. They are not going to want to interact because there is no space for them there. And that's why I asked you when you were talking about that you couldn't trust that your ex-husband couldn't do certain things, that you had to take over, you had to make decisions. And when I asked you, did you ever give him the chance?
No.
No, you didn't. And that's what happened in most of the case. You didn't. You didn't allow yourself because you were afraid that he would not be able to
Mm.
step into his role, because you were raised to believe that you had to do it yourself, otherwise it was
Otherwise,
not gonna
yeah,
work.
nobody would do it. Yeah, that was
Nobody would do it,
yeah.
right? And even if he did it, I don't know if he ever tried, but even if he did it, probably you would have dismissed him or
Yeah,
criticized
but
him
criticize.
or blame him or you poor thing. How you only have a job and you cannot even do it.
Yeah. No, I mean, the thing
Because
is, I didn't see this behavior in me. It was so
yeah,
natural. I
yeah.
didn't know
Because you were running a
any other
program, my
way.
dear. You were
That was
running a
the only
program.
that was the only program that was running in my mind.
Mm.
And also it comes from the fact that most women in my family, they were exactly the same.
Yeah. So that was the normal. That was
Yeah.
the
It was the
familiar. What is wrong
norm.
about
But
that?
now
Yeah.
oh my God, this is just horrible. No,
Yeah.
this is ruining everything. And it's like when it came to me, this revelation, I immediately started to soften up and change and slow down and give myself permission to enjoy life, which
Yeah.
before was non-existent. I didn't know how to have fun. I didn't know how to enjoy. And now it's all coming to me, and I'm like, wow, that's life.
New ways of having fun.
And
For example,
energy is very, very high, which is
lovely.
amazing. Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about the kind of men that are approaching now that you feel like that you are attracting. Like if you could see, if you can compare or have some patterns now and
There is a
before,
pattern.
what has changed?
Yeah, there is a pattern. A men that approach me, well, up until this time, I think they're looking for a strong woman. They are weaker
Mm,
emotionally. I can see they are weaker. They don't have the courage, to make decisions. So they're probably looking for a mummy.
that's now or that was before?
It's
That's
even
now.
like now. I
Hmm.
see that this is,
Life is tasting you. They're testing you.
yeah,
It's
but
like universe is
yeah,
testing you. Like, are you gonna fall again?
I
Or
see that clearly, and I'm like, no, this is just not going to work. And for me, what I notice is that I'm afraid of men who are stronger because I don't know what to do with
mm,
them.
yeah, it's not familiar. It's not a familiar territory for you.
Uh,
Well,
but
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 I'm
I think
open.
I think
Yeah,
you're
I'm open
learning.
to experiment, and I am surrendering because as I see this, it's like over the years I have become a lioness,
Yeah,
strong lioness. So, and how do I turn myself into a kitten now?
into kidding. Well,
Because,
it's, I
well, I
think,
do have the strength of character, obviously, but I don't want to use it against my man or against my happiness or against my relationship. I want it, to benefit our union, not to ruin it. I
yeah.
I step back and I am prepared to be behind,
Mm-hmm.
just over here, just by his shoulders. But I'm not
Mm-hmm.
leading, I'm not taking any risks, and I am no longer making any big decisions. I'm leaving it up to my
Yeah.
second half.
But I think you have you are already in a good path because you can recognize already some of the attributes of the feminine, or that softness, or that slowness, that giving into it, opening to receive. Those are attributes that, as you embrace them and as you practice them, aware, like with consciousness, like you consciously choose every time, instead of, because you know how it feels, you know very well
Yes.
how it feels, where you go to the space of the lioness, right? So in
Mm.
that moment, in that very moment, when you are going there, you can stop yourself from going there. So what would be the opposite direction?
Just being, just
Yeah.
being there, and
Can you put me an example in which you would otherwise be like, "Rah, the lioness, and go my way, and let's role play right now. Let's say that I'm a guy that I want to invite you. Hey, I I saw you as I like your way. I give you giving a speech and in an event, and I really like your charisma, what you're saying, and there is something about you that I feel attracted to. Would you like to go for a walk with me? I would like to invite you for a walk, and then maybe have a dinner. And what do you say?
I would, what would I say? Uh, I
Just
used
tell
to,
me now. Just tell me as if I was the guy.
yeah, let's
How are
go.
you feeling right now? How are you feeling? I think you're blushing. I don't know if it's my.
Uh, I'm kind of actually, what I used to do. Uh, I would definitely be blushing, and I would like for a moment I would think, is he serious? Is this really happening? Maybe
Yeah,
he's just
go to the
joking.
mind. You go to the mind
Yeah,
immediately,
maybe
right?
it's just a joke. Yeah, like, is this really happening? Like, is this a joke?
Hmm.
And
But now,
I would,
in their space of
yeah.
feminine and more giving and more than the new Olga, what would you do instead?
What would I do instead? I would open up. I guess I would well, first of all, I would let go of all my expectations.
Hmm.
I would just be open to whatever would happen. And definitely I would say yes. Before I wouldn't say yes so easily. I would be I would play games.
Hmm.
I like I'm a cold snow queen, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Too
That's good
proud.
that you realize that, because
Too
that is a
proud.
turn off. That is definitely a turn
That's
off.
a
You know
turn.
that. You know also that men are very insecure, most of them.
Oh
They
yes.
have to have a lot of courage, to go out there and be willing to get rejected.
Oh
So
yes.
when we play those games as like a hard to get, or let me see, and then you are going all this all in your head, or you mess it up, because they are just inviting you, and it takes a lot to actually approach you and invite you, and then you go and like smash the head in the floor, like,
Yeah,
you know what I
I
mean?
recognize that.
And now because you are aware of that, I want you to tell me, like, what would you say?
So what would I say?
It, with your butterfly, I say butterfly because I just see that I'm wearing butterflies. With your butterflies, sweet, all orange, all vibrating, all like owning that feminine, owning that eroticism. What would you say to that guy that is approaching to you and see something in you that I want to explore more?
Yeah, I think it's about well, what I would say, yeah, let's go. I'm quite direct. I'm not going to play games anymore or act like a snow queen or something like that. I would definitely lower all my walls. Well, they already gone. There's no wall.
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
quite soft and it feels great. But also important what you feel as you say this. When you what do you feel? Because people read not what we say with words, but how we feel. It's
Yeah.
important.
That's what I asked you. What did you feel in that moment? What was
Maybe
happening in your body as I was talking and you were imagining what if that happening did? What is happening in your body in that particular instant?
what happens is kind of acceptance, and I can imagine in my mind that I maybe put like I kind of we embrace, and I put my head on his shoulders, something like that. That's
Hmm.
the first thing that comes to my mind. And there was at first little unease, like, oh, what's going on?
Nervousness. Yeah, and you felt it in your stomach. Where do you feel that nervousness?
It's like it's mostly in my chest,
In your chest. You feel tight, tightness,
like
tense.
holding my breath for a second.
Okay. Okay. You felt it. So you can recognize that when you feel nervous, when you feel in the unknown territory, that's where you go.
Mhm.
What how do you translate that physical sensation?
I kind of start holding my breath, and then to let go, I see that, okay, this is now happening. I am trying to raise my wall again, my shield.
Yeah.
So I consciously say myself, you're safe.
Yeah.
You are safe. You are protected. You can lower your wall. There's no need to defend. There's nothing to defend anymore.
Yeah. There is nothing to defend, there is nothing to fight against. This is here and now what is happening. He's just inviting you to go
Yeah.
for a walk. You don't have to do anything else. You don't
Okay.
have to write a script. This is not a public speaking context. This is you and him, the person that wants to get to know you better. And then you ask yourself, do I want to know this person better? Because that's another part, right? There is when we have been so protective and so rigid and so thin, it's good to soften up and it's good
Mhm.
to lay it back and let us, let us be, let us go. But it's also good to keep our boundaries
Mhm.
firm because we also want to have boundaries. Boundaries are needed, and boundaries are very helpful to create a sense of safety for ourselves. Everything needs
Absolutely.
boundary. Where this and the softness needs a boundary to not get spread all over and dissipate. It needs a boundary for a container. It's a structure, and
Mhm.
that's why it is important to have both feminine and masculine energy, because it's not about now not masculine at all. Not
No, there must
masculine
be
at all.
proportion.
I will become pure water and I'm gonna just run and flow. There are moments where that is good, and
Mhm.
and it's also very, very, very safe and healthy to keep the boundaries as well, to know what our boundaries are, and
Absolutely.
to communicate them, because it's like when we are able to know our boundaries and communicate them to that person, especially a new person, it's like giving them a playground.
Yeah.
Children need boundaries around the playground. So this is you can play in this area. This is all the area that you can play around, and that makes the experience more expansive, because then you can literally go to every corner. It's like, this is my body. You can touch every corner except, let's say, my ear.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know that every other corner and so much to explore already there, right? But he knows that when it comes, okay, she doesn't like the ear, but the rest is is explorative. The rest is open to exploration and admiration and everything. Whereas if you don't communicate, if you don't know your own boundaries and you don't communicate them, the other person might be more fearful to explore because he doesn't know where the mine is. It's like walking in on a minefield because you don't know where the thing is. Then you stay in the middle.
Yeah.
You don't walk, you
Yeah.
don't dare, you don't explore. It's like, and the same is for you with yourself and with the other.
Mm.
So it's like become something very, very minuscule, mediocre, and shrinkle. That's
Yeah.
why how I see boundaries, and it's
Boundaries, yeah, definitely, absolutely.
put a structure.
We do need to have a structure because it's like when you have no boundaries, it's like you're inviting in your house all the strangers.
Everybody, and you don't want that. No, you want to
No, you
invite
need to be selective.
that's yeah, that's all because there is so much time and so much energy that you want to invest, right?
No, no.
And when you want to invite somebody to our intimate space, it needs to be somebody that is aligned
Mm-hmm.
align with our values, our energy, our direction, our vision. There are so many things that we can be aligned and disaligned with. And boundaries is a very important aspect that allows
Mm-hmm.
into it. So I just wanted to bring that up because as I hear you say, hey, so what you want to be feminine. I want to become a woman. First of all, you are a beautiful woman. You are already a woman. You already have all that. You just need to allow that to merge and to
That's
put
it.
it out there, right? You already are that. You don't need to become anything. You already are. Now you can become a higher, wiser, happier, looser, like a softened version of yourself, and that is evolution, that is completely welcome, and you already have that within. It's just
Yeah.
about manifesting, just about bringing it up, right?
Mm. Yeah,
and
for me
and
it's about the balance as well.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly, have that balance between where it's important to have the masculine energy
mm,
present and when is the feminine, and
yeah.
where it's important to let go of control, what is important to have to be the leader, because fact,
Mm.
we can't be leaders without being masculine, right? And there are moments in which taking the leadership is important, like here my husband and we have pretty balanced. I had to let go of that control
Mhm.
and that dominance that I used to have when I was living alone and I had to do all by myself. When I noticed that, okay, this man, my husband, is not that man that when you see is gonna come across like a masculine, macho, alpha male. Thank God, and it's a beautiful example of you don't have to look or act in one way or another to embrace both energies that cohabitate and harmonize in a beautiful
Mm.
way. And sometimes he's insecure, sometimes he doesn't know what to do. And I know that in that moment, I have to take cover and help him and
Mm.
support him. And maybe in that moment, I will bring my energy, my masculine energy, because he needs it in that moment. And that's totally fine. Now, I there are moments that I am the one that is like, I don't know what to do with this. I'm insecure, I'm soft, I'm super emotional, I'm my crazy. I am bursting out of sadness or anger or
Mhm.
whatever, and he's there like a pole, like a super, it's okay.
Yeah.
Lean in, it's okay.
Yeah,
You can lean in.
the
It's
balance,
okay. It's
that's
okay to
what's
be,
needed. Yeah, the
yeah, and
emotion.
and being able to, that energy of I can be a mess right now and it's
Mm.
okay, and that he's capable to hold me in that moment, and not engage with my crazy.
Mhm.
That to me is a very good example of he being his masculine,
Mm.
and nothing to do with dominance or control or
Yeah.
rigidity or strength or nothing like that. So there is a lot of nuances in this feminine and masculine thing, and how we can allow for our dynamics to to flourish together and be in a dance that is harmonious
Mm.
and attuned to our own needs and our beloved needs as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I hear you. Yeah. Yeah, that's where I'm heading at the moment, and things just happening so fast, and every day I feel like more in balance with myself and my role, and the future is looking very bright, and it's like it's a life of some new person, which is me. So
Yeah,
everything that was before, well, it's a history. I don't regret. I have learned so much.
that
Uh,
made you who you are now, that laid
made me
out
who I
the
am.
laid out the path
Yeah,
that led you to awaken.
it was a huge learning experience, and as I say, I have no regrets. Now I'm kind of, I guess, I came to the point in life where I can build the type of relationships that I'm dreaming of, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure that we can have a 10 hours conversation about
Oh
that
yes.
dream relationship.
Oh
What is
yeah.
it? How does it look like? And that ideal partner, which
Mm,
is what I when I went to that space and went deep into what I really want, my life shifted completely. And everything started to manifest like
no,
wow.
knowing
I
what you
couldn't
want.
keep up. Yeah.
No,
Like
knowing
knowing
what you
what
want
you
is one
want.
of the biggest
Yeah,
biggest part.
knowing what you want, that's one of the things that I'm big advocated for. And it's so much to talk about it because knowing what you want is so tricky. It's
Mm-hmm.
so tricky that that whole sentence of knowing what you want, it implies so much. Like what do you want to be? What do you know to begin with?
Mm-hmm.
What do you know? How do you know that what you want is what you want and not what you think you want? What if what you want is not what you need? What
Yeah.
if what you want is toxic for you? What if what you want is coming from a program, just another program?
Mm-hmm.
There are so much to explore in only that particular thing.
Yep.
But so we will stop here because otherwise we could keep talking. We can
Yeah.
maybe have a completely other conversation